Hey everyone, Mr. Helensky. I wanted to take a few minutes and explain to everyone a little bit of information about the third grade reading law. As many of you may have been aware, in the news over the past couple years, the state of Michigan has now created a read by third grade law. We all know how important it is for students to be able to read, and especially by the time they hit third grade. So this law is to help guarantee that we are working with those students to help them read by the third grade. The law has a couple different components to it and has actually been in place for a couple of years. I do want to explain what's different about this year in a couple minutes. First off, when the law was created, a couple things that were put in place at that time were to have a literacy coach in each building. And so at Hillcrest, our literacy coach is Jill Johnson. And so she has been working with our staff to help make sure that we are all up to date on our practices for teaching literacy. Also, what was determined is that any student that had a reading deficiency would have an individualized reading intervention plan, which is called an IRAP, and we call them student success plans. These are for any students in K through third grade that have had a demonstrated a proficiency in reading. We use information from our NWEA and from some other progress monitoring tools that we use in our building to help determine those. Any student determined to have a deficiency in reading prior to third grade will have a plan, and that will be set up with our literacy coach. If your student does not have one of those plans, at this time it has not been determined that they do have a deficiency to the level of a concern. We still want to work with all of our students and help to improve any student at any level with their reading. We've had those plans in place for a few years and our literacy coach. This year, though, there is a different part of the law that will happen that has many people very concerned. The third grade reading law also states that at the end of this year, any student that has a deficiency of up to 1 grade level below third grade will be retained in third grade. And I know that's caused a lot of concern for families. And so that's why I want to present this information to you today. The third graders take a test at the end of the year in April and May called the MSTEP, the Michigan Student Test of Educational Progress. And all students in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade take this test. They are going to use the information from the third grade reading test or ELA test to determine that if a student has the deficiency of over 1 grade level. We will get a student's score on the MSTEP shortly after they take the test. To be proficient in third grade, a score of 1,300 or 1,300 is considered proficient. Any student that scores at 1,252 or a 1,252 or below will be deemed 1 grade level below. Now, the state of Michigan determined that cut score off of previous year's tests, and that represents about 5% of students in the state of Michigan. When we look at the scores, any student that has that score or below will have a letter sent to them by the state of Michigan, and the school will also send a letter notifying the parents. From there, we will set up a plan with each or any of those families to determine what is in the best interest of that student moving forward. A couple key things to remember about retention in this new third grade reading law is there are many exemptions to the law if a student does score that 1,252 or below. For example, if a student has an IEP, they would not be retained. Also, if a student has demonstrated in other areas that they are proficient in reading, that is an exemption as well. Also, it is up to the parent if they feel it is best for the student to be retained or not. So if anyone does receive that score lower, the school, myself, and the teachers will be working with you to help make sure that we make the best decision for that student. I hope this cleared up a little bit of the questions that you may have had about the third grade reading law. We will be passing out a sheet to all parents at our conferences, which are coming up in just over a few weeks. Also, I am going to post some links on the bottom of this that will provide information directly to the state of Michigan's website that has more information about the third grade reading law and how it affects Hillcrest. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact your son or daughter's teacher or myself, and we will help you to understand better the third grade reading law. Thank you guys very much.